This is the No Strings Podcast with Rel Simon. What's up, y'all? This is podcast episode 54 of the No Strings Podcast with Rel Simon. I hope you all are having or have had a wondrous Labor Day weekend. This, of course, is being brought to you by Spotify for Podcasters and is available on all podcast platforms. Thank you for however you choose to listen to this, whether it's a snippet on my TikTok, the full episode on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. As we keep moving and shaking, learning about the things, the thoughts that I have, the numbers, the machinations that go on in my head, and as we continue to at least try to grind and get some information and some value out of this content regarding your financial health and your financial well-being and your future financial success. So this episode is titled Numbers, and I stylized the title as NUMB3R5. The E taking the place of the E, or the number 3 taking the place of the E, and the number 5 taking the place of the S. Just stylistically, you'll see it like on the podcast, all my promos and stuff like that. Just a little random tidbit, but I alluded to this episode in my last episode. Alluded to this topic in my last episode, and I was just thinking over the past couple of weeks about how powerful numbers are. They are just as powerful as spoken word, as the words that I'm speaking, the words that you speak out of your mouth, the words that I write, the words that you write, the words that you see. It's just important to the lexicon and the English language, and important in a grander scale to the entirety of the world, the universe. Right. Think about how numbers, they create this type of order, the system, just like words, just like files or organization, or and everything from street signs to product codes. Now, most of us went to grade school and we took mathematics, algebra, statistics, etc. And hopefully y'all learned some addition, subtraction, multiplication, some division, some PEMDAS, percentages, totals, medians, averages, and exponentials. In terms of unique numbers, you think about your stylized date of birth, social security number, your phone number, things that are very unique to you. Sequential numbers, unique identifiers to you. And also something special, each numerical month, day, and year on a specific calendar that signifies something special to the number of people on this planet, because there is a numerical value of people who currently reside on this planet, which is 8 billion. 8,000,000,000,000. We think about numbers, how they can create order, how they can be implemented to regulate goods and services. Think when you buying groceries, there's a dollar amount or price amount for groceries, a plane ticket, concert ticket. Numbers relay vital health data, such as when you go to the doctor or when you sit on a scale, you think about your weight, your blood sugar levels, your cholesterol levels, A1C levels. When you're at home and you need to set the thermostat, you're setting it to a certain degree. And that's another numerical value. When you're cooking on the microwave, you're setting a timer, a power level. When you're using the oven, you may have a digital oven, but you're setting it to a certain degree, turning a knob or pressing buttons. Numbers also signify status for good and for bad, which I'll get to in a brief moment. But overall, numbers just tell stories, and they're so powerful. They tell these stories with solid truth and facts to support them. Numbers, data, hard facts. Sometimes numbers are conflated. Sometimes numbers are inflated, overestimated, underestimated. But they do provide this sort of range, and they tell us a story. They give us information. In terms of what we do, we perform these sort of routine tasks and enumeration every single day. From the time we have to wake up, a specific time range or actual time on the clock, those set of numbers. How many cups or pieces of breakfast items or cups of coffee you have to consume, pieces of toast, or the bowl of oatmeal, which is one bowl of oatmeal, right? Or whatever you eat. 2 pieces of bacon, 3 scrambled eggs. The size and ounces of the coffee to drink. You may not be drinking out of a cup that signifies ounces or whatever, but a lot of cups, if you were to measure 12, 24, 36 ounces, whatever, you're drinking some sort of an amount in fluid ounces. Not those hard set numbers, but you're drinking an amount in ounces of fluid, right, in terms of coffee or juice or milk, orange juice. You think about the distance you have to walk to work, bike to work, drive, transit to work, the time it takes you to get from there to work. You think about the alphanumerical password that you use to log into your computer at home or at work. Think about the number of human interactions that you encounter, the number of people that you encounter within a single workday, the number of emails that you send, your your words per minute when you're typing on the on a keyboard, which is a number of words per minute. When we know a minute is 60 seconds, right? So again, all this stuff is just like flows. Stuff just like flows. Think about the total price of your lunch or groceries. If you went out to grab something to eat, or after work when you grab some groceries, or if you went out for lunch, or if you meal prepped on a Sunday or a Saturday, right? How many containers of food did you meal prep? Did you 5 for 5 lunches, 5 containers? But what about if you do have children or a toddler or a baby? The number of times that the baby has to be changed. The number of times that during the day that the baby has to be fed, right? You look at your phone. The number of times you send a text, receive a text. The number of people you've texted within a particular day. We also set these standards and goals based on this numerical value. Now, ladies, let me ask you, would a woman date a man based primarily on how much money he has? And then, fellas, let me ask you, would a man date a woman based on the number of children she has? Is a man making only 5 figures, $70,000? Is that enough, or are you passing him? Is a woman that has one child, are you able to manage that? What about 2, 3, 4? You can also flip the question, right? Would a man date a woman based on how much money she has? Would a woman date a man based on the number of children he has? And now, granted, I'm using just this sort of in your headspace a qualifier, right? I'm not counting a child as like a tally mark, right? Because your children are the future; they're unique in their own special way. But you got to think deeper. Is that these are the sort of when you first hear these questions, that sort of reactionary thing, that sort of surface level. I don't want to say like materialistic, but it's this sort of bias or this sort of mindset that we have in our head, that we may want someone that doesn't not have any children, or we're okay with someone with children, or we may be on equal footing. Money doesn't matter to me, right? How about when you're asking your significant other? I just saw a YouTube video. Who did I watch yesterday? I forgot. But would you ask your partner or your loved? Well, I'm not gonna say partner. I don't really like the word partner. Would you ask your boyfriend or girlfriend or fiance, right? Or before you even get to that stage, with that person you're with, would you ask them how many debt they have, or how much debt they have before committing to marriage? Right. You're sort of quantifying a numerical amount, high or low, as a qualifier towards if you want to commit yourself to a person. Relationship aside, we're quantifying, for example, how many books did he or she read this month? How many pounds did he or she lose this week, this year? How many shots we taking at the bar tonight? How many shots we taking at the cookout, right? How many beers have we had? How many cocktails have we had at the restaurant? How many book bags were donated at this year's school drive? How many composition books? So typically the response to each of these questions that I mentioned over these past few minutes or so, it involves a set number. And within that set number, there's this temptation to increase or decrease or even react based on that number, that information that's given to you directly. So let's pop into numbers from a financial perspective. So in the financial world, your outstanding debts will cause a reaction. Listen to any callers on the Dave Ramsey show, and you'll hear examples. I have 150,000 in debt. I have 30,000 in debt. 225,000 in debt. I still owe 35,000 on my car. I'm paying $900 a month on a car payment. And the expectation from the hosts of the show is that the caller can work to obviously eliminate that. The host of the show will rectify a situation or try to drive things down into common sense. But the caller has to ultimately put in the work, because personal finance is personal. Now, a caller revealing their net worth, let's say someone who doesn't have any debt, and they reveal their net worth, that sort of causes another reaction. It's no debt, and let's say someone, for example, they're on a call and they say, my total cash, investments, and home value equal $850,000. Right. That sort of changes the questions, right? If you had debt, you got to work to get out of it. If you don't have debt and you've got healthy assets, how do you continue to build the assets, and how do you continue to maintain those assets to not go in a different direction? You look at credit scores. That's another set of numbers, 3 digits, that influence how much you can borrow, mortgage, or apply for. If you're applying for credit cards, a home, cars, right? If you're applying for an apartment, there's hard pulls on your credit card, soft pulls on your credit card, credit checks, credit scores, credit reports. Right, those numbers, 560, 640, 720, 807, all different, 850, all different in the eyes of these companies, these lenders, that set of data, and it's 3-digit numbers. 3-digit numbers matter. Now, for me, I definitely felt shame seeing the balances on my credit cards and student loans 7 years ago. Y'all already know when I started my journey, I was $58,000 of debt, 58,000. And that $58,000 of debt emotionally affected me, had to work to get out of it. The calendar year of 2017, 2017, in my life is just night and day compared to me speaking right now in 2024, 2024, this calendar year. And then from a date standpoint, March 19th, 2021 was that day I became debt free. And that's another set of numbers that for me is unique to me, a milestone, something that I'll remember forever, right? So this is what I wanted to talk about on this episode, and I got a lot to touch on. I'm going to do a quick pause for the cause, but when I come back, I want to get right into it, talk more and talk about numbers. Then I may end up just doing another episode. It's just, to me right now, just it's fascinating with everything I'm looking, or what I've put together on my notes, which will also be on my an article, medium.com/Rel Simon. I will post this as an article format, but it's exciting because this numbers are powerful right now, and this is the numbers episode. It may not be the only numbers episode, or it may be the numbers episode, but it is the episode. And so I'm excited about this. I'm gonna take a quick pause, take a sip of water, take a breath, and I'll be back in a flash. We're back, episode 54, NUMB3R5, numbers. And this particular episode is episode 54, another set of episodes, another set of numbers, 54 episodes in the bag, no strings podcast. So rarely can you watch or listen to a financial guru, influencer, financial advisor not use numbers in their broadcasts, newsletters, emails, TikToks, short form videos, long form videos to relay their messages. These numbers, data points, historical context, it's all key for them to relay share stories and blueprints for the financial success and financial sustainability. I'm going to list a few points listed below from persons that I follow. First, let's take Dave Ramsey, who has his famous 7 baby steps. And one of those baby steps is to have a starter emergency fund of $1,000. Brian Preston and Bo Hansen from the Money Guy Show recommend that you save 25% of your income towards retirement. Shout out to Rose Hahn, who in a recent YouTube video shared 4 skills you need to have for financial freedom, which is having the skill of learning how to earn money, save money, invest money, and spend money. Shout out to Humphrey Yang, who he in a recent YouTube short prefers using the 60-30-10 rule with your money, where you allocate 60% towards your needs, 30% towards wants, and 10% at the bare minimum towards savings. And many of his shorts, as I look through his channel, they're really list-based. For example, 3 bad money habits you need to avoid. Do these 5 things right after you get paid. 3 signs you're on track to be a multimillionaire. Next up is my guy, Anthony O'Neill, who I believe does live in the DMV area. But he sent out an email newsletter to promote his Millionaire Masterclass. A stat that was included in his email was the median value of stock holdings for white families is approximately 51,000, 51,000, compared to 15,000, 15,000, $15,000 for Black and Hispanic families. Source from USA Facts. He also asked his subscribers, would you rather have 51,000 or 15,000 in investments? That goes up earlier to what I mentioned before the break. In when you hear these initial questions and these numbers, as you're looking at a newsletter, or if someone was to ask you literally in front of your face, would you rather have 51,000 or $15,000 in investments? A majority of you would immediately say $51,000 because it's that greater number. It's investments, appreciating assets, versus saying $15,000 in investments. That's important because, again, median value for white families, 51, 15 for Black and Hispanic. And we know the colonial history and the financial history, generational wealth history, that there is a huge disparagement with minorities in this particular country versus the Caucasians. But granted, I do believe that with all this data and all this content out nowadays, there is so much opportunity with me helping to try and be a vehicle, or me learning myself to build my own wealth and net worth to break the cycle, so to speak, break the norm, step out of the norm. But again, just coming back to it, would you rather have 51,000 or 15,000 in investments? And finally, Morgan Housel, he revealed in his saving strategy from his book, The Millionaire Next Door, which I finished a few months ago, stating that, quote, we also keep a higher percentage of our assets in cash than most financial advisors will recommend. Something around 20% of our assets outside the value of our house. We do it because cash is the oxygen of independence. And more importantly, we never want to be forced to sell the stocks that we own. End quote. So those are 6 people, well, 7 if you count Brian and Bo, 7 people that I do follow. And I try to add a little emphasis for each dollar amount, no, not dollar amount, but numerical value listed on this example. Even throughout this entire episode, as I'm breaking it down by comma, kind of saying it weird because, you don't see somebody say 1,000, 1,000, 8 billion people on the planet, as I said earlier. But again, this is the numbers episode, and I'm putting emphasis to how numbers are being applied in every type of situation. But then we talk about your own salary, your work, when you're at a restaurant or when you're at church, right? Let's take these 4 next little points. Depending on your yearly salary, as an American, you'd either fall under the 10, 12, 22, or 24% tax bracket, depending on how much money you make in a given year. And for a majority of people, your income may come from working a 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. job, or you plug in any different type of hourly shift. Maybe you're working a graveyard 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., whatever. When you're at a restaurant, the recommended tip, I did do an episode way back when about don't forget the tip. Obviously, that's a personal preference, but the recommended tip at a restaurant is 15%. Obviously, there's options for 10%, 15, 18. I've seen 20. I've seen 22 on the little touchpad. For those of you that go to church, the suggested tithe at church is to give 10% of your income towards the house of the Lord. Again, these are numbers, and they're in different formulations, right? These last few sentences, I just talked about percentages, or you're looking at numbers in terms of an hour format, form of clock time. And again, tipping percentage, church percentage. Going back to the people that I follow, you've got lists from Rose Hahn and Humphrey Yang in terms of these 3 signs or these 4 skills. You've got Anthony again. Would you rather have this amount or this amount? In terms of dollar amount. Morgan Housel with his percentages. Brian Preston and Bo with their percentages. But again, it's all still numbers. And 2 of the most frequent numbers used in financial speak, in my personal opinion, are 0 and 1 million. 0 and 1 million. And why is that? Because I believe many people wish to become debt free, and this requires having 0 liabilities. No credit card debt, no student loan debt, car paid off, home paid off, no medical bills, 0. But also 0 can be bad because having 0 funds, no money in your bank account, no gallons of gas in the car, empty tank. That's a stress factor. That'll put you up in panic mode. That's why 0 is crazy. When you have 0 savings for retirement, when you're up in age and low in investments, what's up? What's happening? Is it panic mode? When someone says that they're broke, I'm broke. The assumption then and there is that they have $0 to spare or spend. But granted, when people, hey brother, what's up, brother? Can I get $1? Nah, cuz I ain't got it on me. I'm broke. Obviously that's a passive effect. But for some people, where it's I'm broke, or I just gave you my last $1, right? And then, many people wish and they dream of becoming a millionaire. You don't hear people say, oh, I want to be a 2 millionaire. I want to be a 3 millionaire. I want to have 5 million in the bank account. Like that's, you'll hear people say that often, but in the off chance. But immediately when I ask that question, oh, I'd rather be a millionaire. What would you do if you had $1 million? If you had $1 million winning ticket? The cliche phrase, if I had $1 million, I would ... XYZ. Even the finance gurus, they want you to aim for that first $100,000 in net worth because it's hard to get that first 100,000. And then as the years go by, it's easier to coast and get towards those next milestones. But you want to really work towards 1 million to signify true achievement. And granted, with inflation, the cost of goods and services nowadays, they say 1 million is not enough to retire. Which, sure, if all the experts are saying it, cool. But for someone to really have $1 million net worth in terms of liquidity, cash, investments, home, value of a home, then that's true achievement. Even if you got 100 grand. You're in a certain top percentage of Americans. So keep on rocking and rolling. But some people are $1 million in debt right now, or close to $1 million in debt. Med school, underwater on a house, whatever. So again, that's why I feel like those 2 numbers, 0 and 1 million, these 2 numbers with all those examples I just provided, they can tell a multitude of stories, both good and bad. They really just quantify how well off or how away from the path we truly can be, or you truly are. Numbers are key to relaying historical data. We can go on forever in terms of historical data. You can Wikipedia what happened in the year 1942, what happened in the year 1968, what happened in the year 1993, what happened in the year 2008. Right. And a bunch of different events will happen within this particular calendar year of what happened. Good and bad, disasters. how old was this person when they passed away. They passed away on a numerical date. They were this old. And don't even get me into sports. Again, that's a whole nother avenue. You can get sports and right, breaking records, Olympics. It's numbers and right. So, but anyway, numbers and historical data. So when you're investing, it is important to pay attention to the S&P 500. And yet again, that's another number. And if you don't know what the S&P 500 is, it tracks the top 500 publicly traded companies in the United States. And so per Creative Source, the yearly percentage return of the S&P has been negative only 3 times. And I preface this by saying, you want to be able to invest in funds that hold the S&P 500. Because you look at these numbers I'm about to tell you, is that it's a good investment to have as part of your investment portfolio. If you're going to invest in the individual companies, cool. But if you're investing in funds with the 500 companies, because usually you get a pretty good return on your money and you get some growth in your account. But the yearly percentage return of the S&P has been negative only 3 times within the past 20 years. So in 2008, it was negative 37%. Again, we know what happened in 2008, the financial crisis. The housing market crashed and it caused major financial catastrophes, rarely seen since like the Great Depression. 2018, minus 4.4% return, and 2022 minus 18.1%. So regardless, it's pretty much a safe bet to definitely invest your money into funds that mimic the S&P, like I mentioned. Because within the past 20 years, it's only been negative, or you've seen a dip or a negative return on your money in those 3 years, 2008, 2018, and 2022. If you look at 2009, the market rebounded from 2008, and it rebounded up 26.5%. In 2013, the market was up 32.4%, and in 2023, up 26.3%. So, what did we learn here today? I think we learned that discussing numbers probably requires multiple articles and podcast episodes, right? There can be a whole episode or article probably about how athletes get all this money and then they blow it and then don't know how to invest it, or how you have agents of athletes who steal their money, undercut them, go underneath them and behind their back. But really, just to close out this podcast, I hope you take away the power of numerical data, because this data really shapes our lives. And of course, the last and important number I will share is the number 1, being that you only have one life to live and one life to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And you gotta understand that people are dependent on you while you have the only shot given during your only time on this earth. And so, the question is, what steps will you take during this one lifetime to build and grow for the benefit of society? What will you do financially? What will you do health-wise throughout the time you have here, this one big entire life, to get it done and get it going? So that's all I got. That's all I got for y'all for this episode. Numbers episode number 54. Title Numbers, No String Podcast. Hopefully y'all learned some stuff today as I was getting through. Be Kind Rewind, as always. Check out my articles. Check out TikToks, YouTube. Hope you all are, again, having a good weekend. Just prayers and safe prosperity for all of y'all as we keep on grinding and moving and keep on trying to shine financially, emotionally, spiritually, healthfully, I guess. But yeah, that's all I got for this episode. Numbers, and that's all I got. And I am going to peace out on y'all. So y'all take care. Peace. Thank you for listening to the No Strings Podcast with Rel Simon.